Shabbat Shalom, Andy.
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 Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Klein.
Shabbat Shalom, Andy.
Shabbat Shalom, Andy.
Shabbat Shalom, Andy.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Andy.
Shabbat Shalom, 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 Andy. Shabbat Shalom, Andy. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Temple Habonim. We are delighted that you have chosen to welcome Shabbat with us here this evening. For the last 3 months, we have asked our Temple Habonim family to send in photographs of themselves, and we've pinned them to the chairs in our sanctuary. When we ran out of chairs, we taped them to the wall. It has made it so much richer for David and for me to lead you in worship over these last few months while looking into your beautiful faces rather than at empty chairs. Tonight, we have 224 faces smiling at us in our sanctuary. Thank you. We are blessed. You had a view of them before. You might have another view at the end of the service. Who knows? So just know that all of you who are joining us on YouTube tonight, you're in very good company. Along with all of the photos and with our friends in the front row, for the last 3 months, David and I have stood alone in the sanctuary. Tonight, we have 3 additional speakers here in the sanctuary, all properly socially distancing, of course. Elaine Torf, our president, Ivan Wolfson, our vice president, and Adam Mastun, my husband. This is indeed an exciting moment. More people in the sanctuary. Before I fully welcome you into our Shabbat service, just a few words of logistics. Where you found the link for our worship service tonight, you will also find a link to tonight's service pamphlet. Many of our prayers come from our Siddur, Mishkan, Tefillah. Many come from other sources. You are welcome to follow along the service without looking at the pamphlet, but if you want to see any of the prayers written out or participate in the reading of any of them, you'll find it easy to just download the booklet and either print it out or just follow along on a shared screen or a different screen. In addition to celebrating Shabbat, tonight we are also marking a major milestone in the life of Temple Habonim. Tonight is the eve of my retirement. Tonight is the last time that I will stand in front of you leading Shabbat worship. Tonight is the end of my 13th year of having the privilege of serving you as your rabbi. 13 years. Sounds like it's time for a bar mitzvah, right? Tonight is sort of a bar mitzvah, or at least a transition to the next stage of my life. This evening, you, Temple Habonim, and I will have the opportunity to say thank you to one another, to reflect on the ways that we have all touched each other's lives, and to offer blessings to each other as we move forward. Get comfortable. We'll be here for a while. Have some Kleenex handy. At Temple Habonim, we always like to have readers from the congregation and have as many people participating as possible. So you will hear a number of different categories of people called upon tonight to rise, either in body or in spirit, and join the leader of a particular prayer. Listen for the groups to be identified. And when you hear a group, or more than one group, described that you identify with, please stand and lead in the reading of that prayer. The power of the words said aloud will resonate within your homes for days to come. Or if you choose, simply stand knowing that you are standing in solidarity with this large, loving community. One more thing. Today, God willing, life is being breathed into a movement of Americans who will no longer tolerate the racism that our country was built upon. So tonight, our worship service also has a focus on our Jewish obligation to participate in Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. You will see that theme woven throughout our prayers this evening. Let's begin our worship with a breath. Let the trials of the week take a seat. It's time for you to breathe in and have a peaceful moment of Shabbat for yourselves. For our first reading, I would like to introduce you to Zan Maddock-Mark, in case you don't already know her. Zan is the current president of our youth group, Bikti. As the youngest presidential leader in our community, Zan has attended all of our monthly board of trustees meetings this year. She has created and led stimulating youth programming and exemplifies the very best of what it takes to be a leader. I have asked Zan to lead this prayer as I invite every one of you at home who has ever served as a leader of this congregation to rise and join her. Perhaps you are serving or have served as an officer, a trustee on the board, a committee chair, perhaps as one of the past presidents of our congregation. Being a leader in a dynamic community like ours takes a lot of energy, not just for the leaders, but for their families as well. We are grateful for our leaders and all they give. Would you please rise and join Zan as she leads us together?
Nonviolence is the answer to the crucial political and moral questions of our time. The need for man to overcome oppression and violence without resorting to oppression and violence. Man must evolve for all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Thank you, Zan, for leading us along with all the other leaders of our congregation in getting tonight's worship started. We've been inviting families to let us know if they want to lead us in readings. And this week, the Robbins family volunteered. Karen, Michael, Asher, Simon, and Levi will lead us in an interfaith, interdenominational reading to inspire us into direct personal action as we watch the glow of our Shabbat candles come to life.
May God bless you with discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships. so that you may live deep within your heart.
May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace.
May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy.
And may God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in this world, so that you can do what others claim cannot be done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav mitzivanu l'havaker shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Amen.
Amen and Shabbat Shalom. Following 5 years of rabbinical school, I worked for 6 years along Rabbi Deborah Zecher in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Rabbi Zecher taught me, she was patient with me, she pushed me when I needed pushing, always treating me as an equal. Rabbi Zecher exemplifies the very best of how to be a mentor, a teacher, a friend, and a family member. By the way, Rabbi Zecher also introduced me to Adam. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me so much about being a rabbi. Thank you for teaching me so much about love.
If all life moves inevitably towards its end, we should paint it with our colors of love and hope. In this love lies the logic of life and the essential part of our faith. Perfection in art and life stems from this love. Perhaps all of us, the young and the old, will seek an ideal of love and fellowship such as my colors and lines have dreamed. Perhaps someone will utter the words of love I feel for all. Perhaps there will be no more enemies. And as a mother with love brings a child into the world, so the young and not so young will build a world of love with new colors. And everyone, whatever their religion, will be able to come here and speak of this dream far from malice and provocation. Is this dream possible? But in art, as in life, everything is possible if it is based on love. Shabbat Shalom, Congregation Habonim. When Rabbi Klein first heard this passage from Marc Chagall, it was one of the passages that led into the silent prayer, and maybe that's where it is tonight. But you'll forgive me if I reflect out loud some of what I would be thinking were I in the sanctuary with all of you, should you be able to be in the sanctuary. Rabbi Klein is an artist par excellence, an artist of humanity, and he has woven a tapestry of Jewish tradition and people and their dreams and hopes all together to help create and to sustain the community that you love as Habonim. I feel so proud to have been a part of his life and to watch with such joy the relationship that you and he have woven over these past years. So I know you celebrate him and his tenure with you, and you send him off with all kinds of love, as do I, and I'm so happy to be part of this tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Lecha dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Ishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'li tila lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela Hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi uri, shir daberi. Kivod Adonai alaich nigla lecha dodi, likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. If you are able, please rise in body or in spirit as we welcome the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha uvzot hola toch emunei am segula. Boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Feel free to sit down. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Good evening. I'm Elaine Torf. For those who don't know me, I'm currently the president of the Board of Trustees for another 2 weeks. 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks, a little more. And I'm grateful to be up here tonight celebrating Rabbi Klein. Our lives are full of pivotal moments. We cannot always choose those moments, but we can certainly choose how we respond. 13 years ago, you chose us and we chose you. Rabbi Rosenberg left some pretty big shoes to fill, but, and I mean this in the kindest way possible, you came in with some big feet of your own, filled them nicely. I feel privileged to have this moment to tell you how much you mean to all of us. And I want you to know that some of our past presidents contributed details and vignettes to make this a richer experience. In your rabbinic application to Temple Habonim in 2007, you described yourself in this way. As a spiritual leader, I am committed to creating a synagogue atmosphere that is warm, inviting, and compassionate, one that provides safety and healing, spiritual exploration, and religious growth as members journey through the daily life experiences and major life challenges. As a teacher, I am passionate about Jewish texts, ancient and modern. I excel in presenting seemingly complex topics so that they become accessible and enjoyable. I treasure the moment when a student makes a connection between an ancient Jewish text and a current life situation. You nailed your self-portrait. It's quite amazing. You've allowed Temple Habonim to be a place of nurturing Judaism, a place where people of all backgrounds and ages who have an interest in Jewish life can make those connections from text to everyday life. You also said, as we all know, change is inevitable, difficult and inevitable. I believe that change can also be wonderful. You've inspired us and encouraged us all to embrace the inevitability and promise of change. Temple life is, of course, a series of a few oys and many joys. You have certainly weathered a number of storms, many of which seem to happen on your scheduled vacation, as apparently you are always on call for us in times of need, unfortunately. Death and sadness are a part of life, and we've lost many loved ones over the years. You truncated a long-awaited trip to Texas to deal with fallout from a crisis involving a staff member. You woke another morning to the news of the Pittsburgh Tree of Life synagogue attack and immediately started planning how to help our congregation maneuver through all the emotions of fear, anxiety, compassion, and hope. The source now, this pandemic, has changed everything. Another pivotal moment. Even in this most maddening and distressing of crises, you have remained kind and compassionate, not vindictive, not angry, not resentful, when most of us were quite obviously not so restrained. Even last week, as you emptied your office alone and we searched for ways to honor you, your focus is on your flock. Your sense of love and responsibility to your temple family is almost heartbreaking to me. And yet, when the time is appropriate and the emotion is necessary, you can be a force to be reckoned with. You have been our public face in times of stress, and you have also been behind the scenes supporting us in whatever way was needed. On to the joys. It was difficult for me to categorize these by year, by category, random. Too many to name, but here goes. You started in 2007. A capital campaign was initiated shortly thereafter, only to crash headlong into the financial crisis of 2008 in a scenario reminiscent of the last 6 months. That campaign briefly derailed, but was ultimately wildly successful thanks to the chairs and to you. In fact, it led to the payoff and burning of the mortgage in January 2010. The albatross of a mortgage was no longer around our collective necks. You have always been a supportive and willing participant in our fundraising efforts. Let's talk about music. Actually, I will paraphrase from a past president. As with this year's Rabbi Search, the Rabbi Search Committee that selected Andy 13 years ago surveyed the congregation as to what qualities in a rabbi were most important to them. It was clear that music was a very high priority to almost everyone. We all wanted a musical rabbi. We loved having Rabbi Rosenberg play his guitar and sing every Shabbat and on holidays, and we loved singing along with him. As the search committee checked off the qualities they were looking for in promising candidates, it was clear that Andy didn't pass the music test. He admitted openly that singing was not his strong suit and how much he would have loved to have that deep singing voice that was Rabbi Rosenberg's. However, Andy possessed so many wonderful, strong qualities that there was no hesitation in offering him the rabbi position in spite of his musical challenges. Much to everyone's surprise and delight, Andy has brought an incredible amount of music to this congregation, welcoming many wonderfully talented musicians. He has encouraged musical participation from temple members and musical groups like Ruach. He has developed relationships with donors, allowing us to bring in many musical guests, including Dan Nichols, Shir Lala, Philadelphia Boys Choir, Chava Morel, and others. He worked closely with Jody Blankstein, Deborah Johnson, Max Chaikin, and Dan Marwell to ensure the spirituality of the music in our services. We remain a highly musical congregation, although very different from the congregation Andy started with. By admitting his lack of innate musical activity, Andy has created a space for even more music to flourish. To have the sensitivity and creativity to use his less of something in order to bring in more is a wonderful gift to all of us from Andy. 7 years ago, the art gallery was established by Roberta Siegel with support from Andy. The social hall has been transformed from an afterthought to a showpiece. Roberta worked tremendously hard on the gallery, and when she retired, it was difficult to fill the void. Andy not only arranged for a very cool People of Israel interim show that lasted months, but he also vetted successors to Roberta and convinced Ruth Fain, another past president who somehow always ends up doing what needs to be done, to take on the gallery. Andy, you have this personal quality of getting to yes. I don't really know how you do it, but I suspect it's related to your ability to make everyone feel they have your ear and you have their back. Andy has left his imprint on our services. He officiated at interfaith marriages and was an active supporter of same-sex marriages. He enhanced our Tot Shabbats and made indelible changes to our high holiday services, including having congregants participate in readings while standing at their seats and incorporating these really sweet, meaningful family written prayers into the family service. Adding the richness of individual Jewish journeys to the afternoon services. His goal of inclusivity extended not just to high holiday prayers, but to the religious school, the sanctuary, with the addition of hearing assistive devices, and also encouraging congregants to see the joy in noisy children, and even the bathrooms. Check out the signs if you haven't seen them yet. The Pride Shabbat service last week was a wonderful reunion of LGBTQ pride speakers Andy has brought to us over his tenure. In the spirit of inclusivity, he has also fully embraced the use of this streamer, which has quite obviously become critical to sharing our incredible services with not just the out-of-towners now, but with ourselves. Andy, you came with Adam. He was willing, I think, to graciously share you with us. I know that must have taken its toll. He also, in his own right, became a beloved member of our congregational family with his sense of humor, his artistic experience and view of the world, and his guidance to many of us. Who knew who knew Adam would quietly find his own place in our hearts? Well, of course, you knew. Andy, there are many words to describe you. I'm going to choose just a few. Mensch, spiritual leader, teacher, meticulous editor, even more meticulous doodler. You are simultaneously resilient and flexible. Last December, you were probably thinking that in May and June, you'd be cruising to the finish line. But as the saying goes, people plan and God laughs. The pandemic totally altered our and your vision for your final 3 months at Temple Habonim. As a result, you have not only become adept at managing the streamer, you have projected total comfort with our services that required choreography of videos, laptops, headsets, papers. So you've shown that you're not just an educator, you're also willing to be a student when it's called for. Another word comes to mind, diplomatic. I've seen you walk the tightrope between congregational demands, community responsibilities, professional standards, and personal limitations. You also have a quality that I have difficulty naming. Maybe it's simply kindness. You have an ability to make people feel as if they are the only one in the room, that you are truly listening, and they are all that matter for the moment. That's a gift you give to all of us every day. 1 year ago, the Board of Trustees voted to bestow the honor of Rabbi Emeritus upon Rabbi Klein. This is an acknowledgement of the covenantal relationship created between Andy and the congregation of Temple Habonim over the span of the last 13 years, and is built upon principles of Kavod Harav, granting honor and respect to the sacred role of Rabbi Emeritus. It's traditional for the Rabbi Emeritus to step back and make space and allow freedom for our next rabbi to establish his own relationship with our congregation. Andy, you've been talking about this for a couple of years, ever since you started thinking about retirement. It will surprise no one that you have anticipated and planned a respectful, emotional, and physical distance in the coming year. This makes me so sad. Oh, I thought I was going to get through this. But anyway, this makes me sad, but I understand. In honor of your change to a Rabbi Emeritus, we have a plaque on its way. Manufacturing also was at a standstill for a little while, so it will come. But I have a paper here. What it will say is, God made man because he loves stories. A quote by Elie Wiesel. To thank and honor Rabbi Andrew Klein, beloved storyteller and teacher, Temple Habonim 2007 to 2020. Gentle, kind, perceptive, and wise leader who strengthened our holy community. We'll let you know when that comes in. I have heard you say many times, if a congregant is more attached to me than to Judaism, I have not done my job well. Your qualities are innate. Almost there. Your qualities are innate. They are not honed skills. We are, of course, more attached to you than you would have anticipated. And yes, you have still done your job well. You have bestowed the priestly blessing on many of us, and I have a short blessing for you. As God blessed our ancestors on their journeys, so may you be blessed as you embark on the journey of your retirement. May you find rest. May you find rest and challenge, quiet and adventure. May you be sustained by the achievements of your work life and inspired I shouldn't be looking at you. And inspired by the possibilities of what lies ahead. May you allow yourself to experience silence and rest, and may you open yourself to the new music that may emerge from that silence. And may you find all the good waves that Narragansett has to offer. In the words of Winnie the Pooh, my new favorite sage, how lucky I am to have something or someone that makes saying goodbye so hard. Thank you, Andy.
There were a lot of parts of this service that I planned. There were some things that I didn't plan. Thank you for those beautiful words. I'll say more to you later. I will say, because laughter is a good thing, as you expressed gratitude to Adam, it was shortly after the decision was made to bring me here that one of our leaders at the moment, I can't remember who, looked at me and said, you know, Andy, we really like you, but we really like Adam. So your place was established here from the beginning. And Elaine, thank you for saying that. As we continue with our worship, this will take a moment. As we continue with our worship, in your service booklet on page 4, I'd like to introduce you to Bob Kemp and Paul Siegel. Bob and Kemp co-chaired the search committee that brought me here 13 years ago. God bless you and all your hard work. I'd like to invite everybody who was a member here 13 years ago, all of you who consider yourself to be Temple Habonim old-timers, to rise and join Bob and Paul as they lead us in an important message about working together. After all, that's what our name Habonim means, the builders. We build together, we work together to make our community better and to make the world better.
Rabbi Chaim of Tzantz used to tell this parable. A man, wandering lost in the forest for several days, finally encountered another. He called out, "Friend, show me the way out of this forest."
The man replied, "Friend, I too am lost. I can only tell you this, the ways I have tried lead nowhere. They have only led me astray. Take my hand and let us search for the way together."
Rabbi Chaim would add, "So too it is with us. When we go our separate ways, we may go astray. Let us join hands and look for the way together."
And together, we rise, we join together in community as we join together in the Baruch Hu. We are awake and we are prepared.
One of the things I really love about Rabbi Klein is he embraces new ideas. So when Deborah Johnson taught us this way to embrace Am I Awake by Noah Aronson, by clapping and thinking about things that we could open our eyes to, Rabbi Klein was right there with us. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
Please be seated. And for our next reading, I'd like to introduce you to Roberta Siegel, who has worn so many hats here at Temple Habonim, it would be impossible to fit her into one category. But one of my favorite ways to think of Roberta, who is sitting right up here in the third row, is as a lifelong learner, a devoted and a dedicated student of life. I would like to invite everyone who has ever studied with me, as a child, as an adult, for a bar, bat mitzvah, in high school and confirmation class, in our Musar sessions, Sunday morning Torah study, lunch and learn, on and on. If you've ever studied with me, please rise and join Roberta in a prayer that encourages us all to study and appreciate life with an open and expansive heart, especially at this moment in the life of our country.
Oh God, keep us from seeing only black and white in a world of many colors. Do not let us imagine that we are children of light, while others are children of darkness. Teach us to see ourselves in every face, to hear the human spirit in every voice. Keep us from making distinctions that are of no significance, from judgments that serve only ourselves, and from the urge to rise by our neighbor's fall. From prejudice, preserve us. From hatred, redeem us. And from self-righteousness, defend us.
Amen. Please rise and join us as we join together in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Va'ed.
Let's be seated and join together in the Ve'ahavta, which is all about the ways we have of showing our love for God.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha vehayu hadevarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'betecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochpecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chtavtam Amizot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lehiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
The world presents us with so much that stands in the way of our being the very best we want to be in life. In the very best way, the families that we are born into, along with the families that we choose, are there to support us, encourage us, and remind us of how we want to live in the world. I invite everybody who appreciates family, who struggles with family, who relies on family, to rise and join my family, some of whom are in Texas and some of whom are in London right now, and Adam's family in Philadelphia, with a prayer that encourages us to grow to be our very best selves.
Where there is ignorance and superstition,
let there be enlightenment and knowledge.
Where there is prejudice and hatred,
let there be acceptance and love.
Where there is fear and suspicion, let there be confidence and trust.
Where there is tyranny and oppression, let there be freedom and justice.
Where there is poverty and disease, let there be prosperity and health.
Where there is strife and discord, let there be harmony and peace.
You got to be here with us tonight, and I'm very grateful. Our next prayer, Micha Mocha, reminds us to be grateful for the freedoms that we have and celebrate them. Micha Mocha reminds us that there is a great amount of work to do in the world to try and bring freedom to others as well. After David leads us in Micha Mocha, he will be joined by Leslie Katz, and together they will lead us in Hashkivenu, our prayer for the ability to lie down for a peaceful, restful evening. I am beyond grateful to you, Leslie, for leading the congregation in musical worship for so many years. It is so sweet to have you with David in this service tonight.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בכותל, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכות זכרה ובענך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkiveinu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Good evening. I'm Ivan Wolfson. I'm currently the vice president. I was told to introduce myself. At every B'nai Mitzvah service here at Temple Habonim, Andy says, before we begin, I'd like to tell you this is just a regular service. This is what Jews do. This is nothing special. We celebrate the Sabbath starting Friday night. We pray, we read the Torah, we come together in community. This is nothing special. This is something special. We are in the midst of a pandemic. No one, not one of us expected to be saying goodbye to Andy this way. But tonight, we are sad. Of course, there are many suffering more than we are. But we must acknowledge that not being able to be together in person tonight or tomorrow, not being able to come into the temple for the past 3 to 4 months is terribly disappointing and sad. This last service, these last few months, they're not what we wanted them to be. Andy deserved more. Our temple community deserved more. But we are resilient and we carry on. So for the next few minutes, I would like to talk about the past 13 years. So what have they been like? I have so many fond memories of specific times with Andy, some deep and profound, others mundane. Before Andy and Adam moved to Rhode Island, I gave them a driving tour of Providence and Barrington. I was on the transition committee at the time. I made a point of showing them the best place to rent movies, Acme Video on Brook Street. Andy often reminds me about this trip with a chuckle. I'm never sure if he's chuckling because there used to be stores to rent movies, or because I thought that he and Adam were the type of people who would drive to the East Side to rent a documentary. I think about the time my son Rafi, who graduated from college 2 weeks ago, and I mention that not in any kind of parent bragging, proud way, just to give a sense of the timeline. I think of the time, the year after his bar mitzvah, when he chanted Haftarah at Rosh Hashanah that year. He did that because Rabbi Klein asked him to. And because he did, I asked Andy, rather tentatively, should I chant the blessings before and after? This was not something I was in a hurry to do. Get up in front of the whole synagogue, chant a blessing, a really long blessing. No, thank you. But Andy encouraged me. Adam made me a recording of the slightly altered words and the slightly altered melody. I think fondly of those weeks, practicing in my car, chanting along with Adam's sweet voice coming through my car's speakers. How did it go, you ask? I don't know, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. What I remember is being up here, right here, with Rafi. I'm grateful to Andy for giving me the opportunity to share that experience with my son. This rather minor episode in the life of a rabbi exemplifies how Andy thinks about temple life and community. His mission is not just to create a worship experience that is meaningful and fulfilling for congregants, but equally important, perhaps more important, is to give individual members of the congregation, each of us, the opportunity to connect with one another, to be part of a community. Andy finds ways to let people be seen and heard and feel valued. I think about the Jewish journeys the congregants have shared with us on Yom Kippur afternoons for the past 13 years. Any of us who have attended remember these stories, these shared, often intimate windows into the life of one of our neighbors and fellow congregants. These experiences create connection. Community isn't only all of us sitting, if only, and listening to the rabbi. Community is participating, sharing, getting to know one another. For Andy, creating community and strengthening community is holy work. Additionally, he is open and encourages many different ways to connect. He allows many ways in. Some are individual, one can sit and listen, one can read what's on the page or read what's in the margins. One can pray what's in one's heart. Some are communal. Some will stand and read a prayer from their seat. Some will chant Torah. Some will lead in song. Elaine mentioned the family-written prayers that have become a part of many services here. Some will share their Jewish journeys. Many will chant an Aliyah. We've all seen Andy invite various groups to the Bima, anyone who has ever been a teacher, new grandparents, past presidents, and others. Andy wants to make the Torah accessible. For some temple members, meaningful engagement happens outside the sanctuary or even outside the temple. Some become involved on a committee on the board. Some engage in social actions such as restocking the shelves at Tappan or demonstrating at the State House or others. Some take part in interfaith work, much as Andy has. Andy, as you know, has been an active participant in interfaith initiatives and has worked closely with the Barrington Congregational Church, among others. In 2013, Andy was awarded a Partners in Faith Award by the Rhode Island State Council of Churches, and the award was sponsored by the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition to Reduce Poverty. Not only does Andy create these opportunities, but he nudges each of us to take personal risks. He knows that each of us face different challenges and that going further looks different for each of us. Andy is often able to see what our personal challenges might be and guide us in a direction that stretches us. More often than not, if we take this guidance, this gentle push, we end up discovering something about ourselves and we grow and connect. Our individual growth in time builds a healthy community. Sometimes Andy's nudges don't seem quite as gentle. As you know, and as Elaine has alluded to, Andy likes order. You can't hear, but I can hear Adam and Andy chuckling over there. He likes order, he likes to be prepared, and he likes to be on time. Or I should say, he is on time. He has tried to instill this sense of starting on time in us over the past 13 years, but similar to Rabbi Rosenberg trying to teach us when to come in for Vishamru, it was not always easy. Vishamru. There was a Friday night service some years ago when I was accompanying Andy on guitar. At 7:30, I was still tuning up, but it was 7:30, so Andy launched into Hine Matov without me. Unlike David, who would have been able to figure out what key we were in and just figure out the chords, I couldn't do that. So I sat there like a yutz with my silent guitar. I thought a lot about that night. I learned that despite what Andy might say, he can lead us in song. And I also came to realize that there's a point to Andy's starting on time. The rigor and detailed outlines for every service serve a purpose. When prepared and ready to anticipate every possible problem, we are better able, consciously or not, to relax and get closer to that space we call spirituality. Rabbi Klein is a strong moral leader. His leadership has touched almost every aspect of temple life. Andy is unpretentious. He has no need to be the center of attention. He recognizes that process is as important as outcome, ever cognizant of the importance of developing relationships in all things he does. Andy is a good listener. Although that phrase is overused and often misapplied, it is not so when speaking of Andy, because listening is the doorway to inclusivity. For Andy, being welcoming and inclusive is also holy work. Andy does not have all the answers, nor does he pretend to. Of course, there's nothing extraordinary about that fact. We may expect a lot from our rabbis, but we don't expect them to know everything. So why do I mention this? Because Andy so readily admits when he doesn't have an answer. There have been many times when he asked Elaine or the executive committee for help when he was unsure how to proceed. This humility and collaborative approach is a big part of what we love about Andy. Andy, I've thought a lot about the 24/7 aspect of your role, balancing the needs of various constituencies, thinking about this week's service and next week's B'nai Mitzvah and the board meeting on Wednesday and Lunch and Learn on Thursday and the Barrington Interfaith Clergy meeting and the Rhode Island Council of Rabbis. And Rabbi Druin is coming next month, but the kosher microwave is broken, and the hospital visits, the shivas, the calls to me in Pittsburgh when my mother died, and the vigils. They keep coming and coming. Yet, you do all of these things with kindness and attention, as Elaine said, making each person you interact with feel as if you were the only thing that matters for that moment. Elaine described this as walking on a tightrope. I too had a similar image. It's a tremendous balancing act to keep all of those priorities in mind at all times while devoting yourself to the moment you are in. But if you allow me to mix metaphors, or at least torture this one, it wouldn't be possible to act this way. This is not an act. It's integral to your character, a combination of wisdom, thoughtfulness, and decency. Your character and leadership have influenced so many here at Temple Habonim. We see it in every B'nai Mitzvah student. We see it in our youth group. We saw it on display during the confirmation service 2 weeks ago. Those 6 students were mature and thoughtful and confident and caring. Their love and respect for you is palpable. Just this very morning, we received an email from our next door neighbor asking if they could park a truck in our backyard, in our parking lot, so they could get to their backyard. Your response was simple and true. You said, "We want good neighbors and we want to be good neighbors." Many of my interactions with Andy over the years have been through my involvement on the board. Andy has been that excellent combination of partner, collaborator, mentor, and spiritual leader. When the board has been faced with a difficult decision, Andy has on many occasions guided us to the right one, not always the easy one, but the one that aligns with our highest selves. The rabbis teach us that the word rabbi means teacher. That joke is for me. I'm keeping it. I love it. It cracks me up. What has Andy taught me? To do your best to keep your ideals in front and not let them get pushed to the back for the sake of expediency. He's taught me about the power of forgiveness. He often reminds me we're all humans. We need to forgive each other. And when we cannot live up to our ideals, we can forgive ourselves. You may remember these little white blue buttons that we were handed out at High Holy Days a few years ago. These were to remind us that when we inevitably stray from our ideals, rather than focus on our mistakes and missteps, we can focus on getting back on target, doing better the next time. He has taught me the importance of being inclusive, of giving every voice a chance to be heard. He has taught me that the value of nurturing our community is immeasurable, but he's also taught me that our community is not these 4 walls or Barrington or the East Bay. Our responsibility to Tikkun Olam knows no bounds. I guess what I mean is, not that Andy has taught me those values, but rather that he has shown me what it looks like to live those values. Nine months ago at Yom Kippur, I spoke about Andy's departure. It seemed very, very far off. Quoting Pirkei Avot, I said, Ezehu Ashir Hasameach Bechelko, who is rich? One who rejoices in what one has received. And I said, so it is for our congregation. While we will be saddened by our rabbi's departure, we know that we have been enriched by his leadership, his wisdom, his humility, his kindness, and his friendship. Tonight we are sad, but despite the deep sadness in our hearts, we simultaneously feel immense gratitude to you and Adam for all the ways you have enriched us. Andy, Adam, you are a blessing. So with true joy, we say thank you, and we wish you both the best.
Ivan, thank you. I really took those words in. I'm so grateful. for the two of you speaking tonight. To introduce our next prayer leader, Linda Silverman Levine was the education director when I arrived at Temple Habonim. Linda, you have a gift for valuing each of our children and getting to know them as individual human beings. You love to teach and you love to lead teachers. I want to invite everyone who is or was ever a teacher or a madrich or a madricha, a young teacher in our religious school or our Hebrew school, to rise and join with Linda in a prayer that reminds us how important it is to pay attention to our prayer life on a regular basis.
Shabbat Shalom. This is the story of the Rabbi and the soap maker. A rabbi and a soap maker once went for a walk together. The soap maker, very discouraged, said to the rabbi, "What good is Judaism? After thousands of years of teaching and goodness, truth, justice, all this wonderful stuff, the study of Torah, all the fine ideals of the prophets, and look at all the trouble and all the misery that is in this world today. If Judaism is so wonderful, Rabbi, tell me, why should all this be so?" Well, the rabbi said nothing. They continued to walk for a bit, and a little further down the road, the rabbi noticed a young child playing in the dirt. The child was covered in dirt. He was filthy, covered in soot and grime. He looked at the soap maker. "Look at that child, will you? You say that soap makes people clean? He's covered from head to toe in grime. What good is soap? All the soap in the world. And that child is still going to be filthy. I wonder if soap is any good at all." The soap maker protested and said, "But Rabbi, soap can't do any good unless it's put to use." "Exactly," said the rabbi. "So it is with Judaism. It isn't effective unless it is applied in daily life and used." The end.
Linda, as I listen to your love of drama in telling stories, apparently Logan appreciated it as well. I don't know who Logan is, but Logan's there loving the story. And you bring us into tefillah. I invite the congregation to please rise and take this moment to enter into a prayerful space that works for you. Do it with the words of Hebrew, do it with words of English, do it with words of your own heart, and find the connection in this moment.
Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Abraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rab LaHoshia, Morid HaTav, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Tomech Nopim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Amar, Michamocha Bageburot, Umito Melach, Melech Meni, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah le'achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. On page 9, atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahallelu selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Let's be seated. On August 11th, 2007, after I had been at Temple Habonim for 1 month, I officiated at Teddy Triebwasser's bar mitzvah. Your portion, Teddy, was Re'eh from the book of Deuteronomy. It contained many instructions about our ability to choose between blessings and curses, encouraging us to always choose the path of blessing. For years after your bar mitzvah, Teddy, you freely and joyfully chose the path of blessing as you volunteered your time on Sunday mornings to work with Sarah Foster as the madrich in her kindergarten class. I watched those little ones look up to you as you so lovingly guided them year after year. You kept getting taller, and you kept coming back to be with them. You kept choosing blessing. Yours was my first life cycle event at Temple Habonim, Teddy. It is such an honor for a rabbi to be with a person, with a family, during any life cycle event. I would like to invite everyone who ever worked with me as I officiated at a life cycle event in your family, a baby naming, a consecration to religious school, a bar bat mitzvah, a confirmation, a wedding, a funeral, a shiva. I'd like to invite you to please rise and join Teddy as he leads us in a prayer about miracles. You have all welcomed me into your lives in such tender, intimate moments. I truly feel the honor and the blessing of being with you, and I am forever grateful. Thank you.
We look for miracles in the extraordinary, while all too often we remain oblivious to the miracles which abound in the ordinary moments of our lives. Our lives are drenched in miracles, all around us and within us. When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we sleep, what miracle restores us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us? When we see suffering, what miracle makes us sad? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle moves us? We live from miracle to miracle. That is why we give thanks, to remind us of God's miracles which are with us day by day. Thanks for everything, Rabbi Klein. Enjoy retirement.
I think we all just witnessed the reason that the kindergarten children loved your presence in the class so much. You notice in your service pamphlet that that was a responsive reading. And I said to Teddy, do it as you feel. You do the whole thing, find someone to respond with. Teddy, you are a miracle. Thank you for participating in our service tonight, and all the people who participated for being in Life Cycle events where I had the honor of officiating with you. It is so important that in each of our services, we remember to express gratitude for the miracles, the blessings, the wonders in our lives. And we do that with words, we do that with feelings, we do that with thoughts. David's going to lead us in a prayer for gratitude. And as he does, each of you, think about something you're feeling really grateful for in the moment. It could be something small, it could be something large. Say it out loud. Give life to it, give voice to it, as we give thanks together as one community for all our blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God. There's usually some verses here, and as I was thinking about what verses I wanted to sing, I wrote an entirely new song that you'll hear at the end of this service. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God. Thank you for the candles, and thank you for the wine, and thank you for the challah and 13 years of time. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, God.
Shabbat Shalom. It's hard to imagine that 13 years have passed in what now seems like the blink of an eye. It's actually 14 years since Andy and I drove into the Temple Habonim parking lot and wanted to get a feel of the temple and the town. I have such a clear memory of the feeling we both had. It was this resounding sense of, wow, this feels right. This feels like home. We hadn't met a single soul or even entered the building, but we just knew. And our intuition was right. This became our community. This became our home. Now, most of us are involved, even in an ancillary way, with the work of our loved ones. But when you're married to a rabbi, that is really amplified. In an old advertisement, the Navy used to declare, it's not just a job, it's an adventure. And what an adventure this has been. I have been blessed to participate in the life of Temple Habonim twofold, both as a community member and as a rabbinic spouse. In my grandparents' day, they called the rabbi's spouse the Rebbitzin. But in the modern Reform movement, there's a teaching I learned from Rabbi Debbie Zecker, who says, what do you call the spouse of a rabbi? Lucky.
and lucky I am indeed. I have had the privilege to learn from and participate in our community in more meaningful ways than I can possibly express. We have prayed together, celebrated births and honored deaths together. We have wined and dined and meditated together, shared quiet conversations in the sanctuary after services, and we have had remarkable experiences traveling together. We wept together in Eastern Europe. We explored our roots in Israel, and we grappled with ideas about communism in Cuba. All of these experiences have been profound in their own ways. I don't have a favorite moment, but what I can tell you unequivocally is that when I add them all up, I am left feeling immensely loved and feeling an immense amount of love for you all. I also have a deep sense of gratitude for those of you who created work opportunities for me when we first moved here, and who have since become my treasured creative partners and friends. I hold you and your gifts with great appreciation. And with that, I will say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the ways that you have loved us, that you have loved Andy, and for the gift of sharing your lives with us both. There is, of course, one more person for whom I have a deep well of gratitude, and that is for you, my dear sweet Andy. When you welcomed me aboard the Rabbi ship almost 20 years ago, neither of us had a sense of all we would experience together. Soon, we will have more time to reminisce about that. But on this Shabbat, I have a sacred task, and that is to honor the extraordinary depth of your work as a rabbi. You fought for your place on the pulpit. You followed your deepest desire to be a rabbi, and you waited for the world to catch up with your dream, your heart's longing. In your belief in your dream, in your persistent pursuit of your truth, in your deep desire to serve the Jewish people, you have realized your dream, and you have taught all of us about pursuing our own dreams as well. But you haven't only followed your dream, you have lived it with diligence, with impeccability, and with wholeheartedness, honestly, unlike I have ever seen another person do. You practice what you preach, you walk the walk, you own your part when you miss the mark, and you wake up striving to do better every day. I know that the Temple Habonim community has abiding love and respect for you. And I also know that our family members in Texas and London and Philadelphia also have great love and appreciation for you, for your rabbinate, and for your work in the world. I know in my heart that your parents, Jean and Walter, that your grandma Lee, that your Aunt Audrey and your friend Kathy, and all of your family members who are no longer here in body are shepping naches beyond belief for the expression of your neshama in the world. You bring what they taught you into your daily life, and their gifts live on in you in clear ways through your rabbinate. And finally, I will, for just a moment, presume to speak for this entire community and for myself when I say, you are a fine, fine man, Andy Klein. And our lives are made so much better and so much richer for your teachings, for your love, and for your presence in the world. You are our blessing. Shabbat Shalom.
you can see why they were more certain about Adam than about me. Adam is indeed my rabbi. The Greenman Dube family is among our newer members here at Temple Habonim, and we are delighted to have you in our community. I would like to invite any of you who consider yourself or yourselves to be newcomers to our community, or if you're joining us as guests tonight, to rise and join together with Adam Greenman, Aaron Dube, Alex, and Nora in this prayer, emphasizing the importance of respecting the worth and the value of each individual life.
We're so honored to be a part of Rabbi Klein's final service. Simply put, Rabbi Klein is the reason that we decided to join Temple Habonim 3 years ago. And since then, we've been so lucky to be a part of this wonderful community that he helped create. So we wish you the best in retirement, Rabbi Klein, both you and Adam, we wish you the best. And now we're honored to read Starfish by Lauren Isley.
Once, a young boy was walking down the beach at low tide.
He sees thousands of starfish stranded in the hot sun by the low tide and begins picking them up one by one and tossing them back into the ocean. Just then, a couple walking down the beach sees the boy and remarks to him,
"Why are you wasting your time? There are thousands of them. It won't matter. You won't make a difference."
With that, the boy pauses, looks at the starfish in his hand, and announces, "It will make a difference to this one." And with that, he tosses the starfish back into the ocean.
Thanks again, Andy.
Leading us in our prayer tonight for peace are the Temple Habonim's Ruach singers. Under the leadership of Diane Manazian, Ruach, which means wind or breath or spirit, believes in the transformational power of music to build community and bridge differences. Following Ruach's prayer, we will all take a moment for our own private personal prayer.
Andy, thank you for making the space for so much beautiful music at Temple Habonim.
Andy, you are so warm and welcoming. You taught us community, celebrated our brightest days, helped us through our darkest nights. What a mensch are you.
Thank you, Andy, for creating such a warm and loving congregation, and for the ways that you've helped Ruach be a part of that.
Dear Andy, blessings on the next step of your journey.
Mazel tov, Andy. Here's wishing you and Adam a wonderful new next phase of your lives, and thank you for all you've done to support Ruach through good times and hard times.
Dear Andy, may your retirement be blessed with love and friendship and laughter. We'll never forget our adventures in Cuba, and may you always find the best ripe bananas.
Andy, thank you for supporting, encouraging, and providing a space for Ruach to be able to meaningfully contribute to our temple and the wider community.
Andy, Olam Chesed, you built a world, a community, Temple Habonim, with love. You watered it, you seeded it, you fed it, you nurtured it. Now you can reap what you sowed. All the best and only happiness for you and Adam. Thank you.
Andy, your support and encouragement has guided the Ruach singers in our mission to build bridges through sacred music. We are forever grateful to you for helping us work towards building a beloved community together. We love you.
Oh. How could any of us help but feel peaceful at the hope of building the world for love? During each of our worship services, we offer a prayer for healing. There is so much healing needed at every level, all across the entire planet. The healing, of course, of all the individuals who are ill and suffering, those we know and love, those we don't know. The healing needed from the appearance of the COVID-19 virus that suddenly appeared and is ravishing humanity across the world. The healing that our beautiful green planet needs from years of our abuse and neglect. The healing needed for living in a deeply divided country so in need of unity and understanding. The healing needed from the deep and painful wounds of the discrimination against people of color that affect every aspect of our lives today. Last Rosh Hashanah morning, I spoke about the 1619 Project, marking the 400th anniversary of the moment our country began to capture, kidnap, transport, and sell Black human beings. Our nation's collective sin of slavery remains with us today, 401 years later. Many of our citizens, in my more optimistic moments, I believe most of our citizens, Black, brown, white, together, are saying, Dayenu, enough. We will live with this no longer. We pray for the healing of, for the fear of, for the hatred toward, and the discrimination against people of color in our country. We pray for an end to the systemic racism built into every aspect of our country. We pray for the gift of listening and respectful conversation. We pray for compassion, understanding, and love. We pray for truth, justice, and equity, and unity. As we join together in our prayer for healing, I invite you to say aloud the names of the loved ones you're holding in your heart who are in need of healing. Please also say the United States of America aloud, because our country is in dire need of healing. Please include your own name aloud, because each and every one of us needs healing right now.
Rifa'enu Adonai v'nei Rafeh, Hoshienu v'nivashea, El karov l'chol korav, ach karov l're'av yisho. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. And Arifana, oh, please heal us now. Rifuat ha-nefesh, rifuat ha-guf, rifuat shlema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalatecha. Ureim v'naseim ad ha'olam. Mi shebeirach avoteinu, mi shebeirach imoteinu, Ana Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for the healing of our people. We pray for the healing of the land, for peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. And oh, please heal us now. Rifuat ha-nefesh, rifuat ha-guf, rifuat shlema. Heal us now. Heal us now.
It is so important that we offer mishaberachs for healing. It is equally important that we offer prayers of gratitude for the joys, for the milestones, for the simchas in our lives. And we do that with the prayer of Shehechianu. For weeks, we have been asking people to send in their Shehechianu moments to share with the congregation. Ordinarily, we would do that from the seats, but people have been sending in, and so I have some that I would like to announce on behalf of the congregation. First, David.
Sometimes we hunt them down on Facebook too. Noah Phillip, you won an award this week. It's a research, teaching, and mentoring award. Noah, you said you were very happy, grateful, and appreciative. We're grateful and appreciative of you and really happy for this award. And you can tell me more about what it actually is at another time.
That's a nice surprise. I was thinking about your sister.
Yes. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget about Noah. 2 days ago, I think, my sister was married to her girlfriend, Liz Glazer, her fiance, now her wife. I'm just so over the moon for my sister and for Liz and all of our families, and just so grateful that we get more time to spend with love.
We also are celebrating, Ellen and Len Parker are having their 50th anniversary on June 14th. And Richard and Eileen Jacobs are having their 51st anniversary on June 15th. Linda and Alan Klepper would like us to know that their grandson, Max Wine, graduated from Randolph Middle School in Charlotte, North Carolina this past week. He received an award for maintaining all A's in every subject for 3 years. And Max, as you move in to high school, know that your grandma and grandpa are very proud of you. We also received a Shehechianu moment from Tom Padua, who's sitting right over there, who temporarily lost his vision to an illness and is now, it's slowly coming back, and he is now able to read a large print book for the first time. Yasher koach to you, Tom. We want to celebrate our member Whippoorwill, who had her book published this week. And I received a copy of it yesterday. It's called Buffalo Faces the Wind, Poetry and Wisdom of Whippoorwill Margaret Cloud Carullo. It is filled with magnificent pictures, poetry, stories. If any of you are interested in ordering a copy of your book, all you have to do is talk to Adina in the office and she will let you know how. Our member Roberta Lamb, hailing originally from Dallas, Texas, had a review of her newest album, Not Your Mama's Blues, reviewed by Ed Simkus in the Metro West Daily News. And Jason Knight, Barrington State Representative and our Temple Habonim member sitting right over there, reports that at long last, the House Judiciary Committee passed the long-awaited ghost gun bill and expanded background check bill. If all goes well, they will have their floor vote next week and be signed into law ASAP. We are so grateful for the work you do on behalf of all of us, Jason, in promoting that. I know that a lot of you at home are celebrating things that you haven't sent in to us that we don't know about. Say them out loud, get them going. Talk to the people you're with. If you're alone, talk to yourself. Say out loud the things that you are happy and celebrating. Shehechianu says, thank you, God, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this one very sacred moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
voices. Amen.
Amen. Each year, as we begin our high holiday worship services, the congregation rises, I face the open ark, and I say some version of the following prayer in Mishkan HaNefesh. Accept my prayer as though it were offered by one more worthy of this task, a scholar, proficient in prayer, unblemished in character, pleasing in voice. Here I am, one soul in this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they will find expression in the time-hallowed words of my people and in the traditions cherished by generations before me. May I bring the best of my energies to this moment. I love saying this prayer. It reminds me of how grateful I am for the privilege and the responsibility that I hold as the spiritual leader of this community. Tonight, at my bar mitzvah service, I am filled with similar feelings of gratitude as I have been thinking about many of the steps along my rabbinic journey. My brother Ed is a saver. He is the archivist in the family, and Baruch Hashem that he is. Recently, after his retirement, he was going through family documents and sent me some of my emails from my first year of rabbinical school in Jerusalem. As I read them, I re-experienced some of the awe and wonder I felt every day that summer. I had closed my business, sold my house, traveled halfway around the world with everything I would need for a whole year in one large suitcase. At the age of 44, I was the elder of my class, and I was finally fulfilling my lifelong dream of becoming a rabbi. This is a short excerpt from a long email that I wrote on July 20th, 1996. Wow, what a great day. I was the first student in my class to volunteer to read Torah at our Thursday morning worship service. Reading Torah for the first time in Jerusalem was really an emotional experience for me. I read and translated line by line rather than chanting. You would have thought I was having a bar mitzvah all over again. I remained pretty calm and centered, but my hand was shaking the whole time. I mean, really shaking. During tefillah, prior to the Torah service, I meditated on what my being here at this stage in my life is all about and just what it was that I came here for. Naturally, I had Grandma and all of you here with me. So I was feeling pretty calm when I got up to the bima. Afterward, while we were returning the Torah to the ark, it all hit me, and I burst into a major sweat, and yes, a few tears. All right, more than a few tears. You know how much I love to cry. I'm really happy with my first rabbinic Torah reading in Israel, and I look forward to many more. And then, 1.5 years ago, at the exact same time that I was announcing my retirement from Temple Habonim, Adam and I led our congregation's family trip to Israel, and I stood on that same bima at HUC and was called up for an aliyah with 10 of my students, ranging in age from one fifth grader all the way through two first-year college freshmen. That was one of the most powerful moments in my rabbinic life. That summer, 24 years ago, I never would have dreamed. From a first-year rabbinic student to my student pulpit in Ashburn, Virginia, where our high holidays were held in the local community center, and I led worship standing underneath a huge bingo board attached to the ceiling, to my internship at the JCC on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where I directed LGBTQ programming for a few years, to the Berkshires, where I scored the assistant rabbi position of a lifetime working with Rabbi Zecher, and then in the summer of 2007 to Temple Habonim in Barrington, Rhode Island. And for these last 13 years here at Temple Habonim, a few words come to my mind. I feel fortunate. I feel grateful. I feel blessed. You, Temple Habonim, have grown me into the rabbi that I am today. Here is where I have learned what to say and what not to say, and how to not say it. You have accepted me as I am, with all of my attributes and all of my flaws, like the regular old human being that I am. You have respected me and encouraged my learning, development, and growth. You have given me the space to express myself. You have trusted me with your Jewish souls. You have shared your most tender and intimate moments with me. I feel deeply connected to you, and I'm going to miss you. Thank you, Rabbi Rosenberg. For 33 years, you and Sandy built a strong, solid community that I was able to enter smoothly and with confidence. Thank you. I received the benefit of Margie's 39 years of institutional knowledge and service to Temple Habonim during the 3 years that I worked with her. I was gifted with Denise's vigor and enthusiasm for the 3 years that she managed the office. I was blessed with Jody's help in the office for 6.5 years. Adina, we worked together in this building for 2 weeks. Thank you for all that you've been able to accomplish while working from home over the last 3 months. I'm very sorry that I won't have more time with you. Thank you, Margie, Denise, Jody, and Adina, each for your own unique way of being the warm and welcoming first face that people encounter at Temple Habonim. Thank you, Linda, for being such a strong professional partner to share my time with here at Temple Habonim. Thank you, David, for your warmth, your naivete, your freshness, your compassion, and your creativity, your engaging musical style, which fits so well with our Temple Habonim culture, and your willingness to listen and learn and grow. I learned early on how important it is to work with somebody who makes you look better. And David, you and your singing make me look better. Thank you. And thank each of you members of our Temple Habonim community for all that you have done and continue to do as the builders of Temple Habonim. I bless you and I thank you for every act of goodness you have given, which has made a difference in the life of our beloved community. Embedded in the walls of this building are your onegs, your brownies, your setting up and cleaning up, your sweat and your tears, your acts of tzedakah, You're dropping kids off for religious school and Hebrew school and picking them up. There is no such thing as a small gift or a small act of kindness toward the temple. Every one of your gifts has made our community stronger, and I am so grateful for them. I know you will keep it up and embrace Rabbi Howard, his wife Annie, and their kids, Addie, Judah, and Emily, too. And before I offer a special blessing, a moment before I offer a special blessing to all of the presidents with whom I have had the honor of working or almost working with since I came to Temple Habonim, I need to take a moment to express my gratitude to you, Adam. You had a perfectly comfortable life in the Berkshires. You had lived there for a very long time. And we were there together for 6 years. And I said, let's take a risk. Let's take a jump. I'm ready to lead a congregation on my own. Not having something to come to, it was harder for you. And you said, okay. You jumped on board. And as I said earlier, in many ways, Temple Habonim embraced you more than me from before we ever got here. You didn't know exactly what you were signing on to with the rabbiship, but it came clear very soon. You gave up evenings, you gave up weekends, you waited for me to come home late at night, you cooked a lot of meals while I had forgotten how. You supported me and encouraged me through really difficult and challenging times. You also shared the joys and the wonders that this community gave to us. You share your sweetness, you share your tears, you share your love, and it is no exaggeration when I call you my rabbi. Many of you have heard me say, when you said, that's a great idea for a sermon, that was done so well, I always attribute the source whenever I can, and the source often is you, Adam. Thank you for this time, and we're looking forward to a lot more time to celebrate this new stage of our life. And so now, I would like to call forward these people. If we were all sitting here in the congregation, I would call you up to the bima and open the ark to offer you a blessing. Those of you sitting at home notice that you are beginning to appear on your screens. So I am inviting Pat Buff, Jerry Katz, Alan Buff, Ruth Fain, Leslie Lorber, Lisa Shea, Nicole Jelinek, Elaine Torf, and Ivan Wolfson to the bima. I'd like to say that this is going to be a little bit unusual because you won't see Elaine and Ivan on your screen because they're here in the sanctuary. Normally, during a worship service, when the ark is opened, people rise. At home, please don't feel a need to rise, but the 9 of you come forward. As I have the honor of giving you a blessing at the ark. And here you are, from start to finish. Pat, Jerry, Alan, Ruth, Leslie, Lisa, Nicole, Elaine, and Ivan. Look at the Torah scrolls in front of us. Look at all you have done to bring Torah into the world of this community and into our lives. Pat, I never had the pleasure of working with you directly when you were president, but when I arrived, you were the immediate past president. You also served on the search committee when I was hired. I heard many tales of your high holiday sermonette, which came straight from the heart and moved the entire congregation to tears. I knew that you were a perfect person to ask to deliver your Jewish journey 2 years ago on Yom Kippur afternoon. As I listened and you cracked open all of our hearts, I understood what everyone had been talking about. Thank you, Pat, for all that you have given to Temple Habonim and continue to give. Jerry, your presidency spanned Rabbi Rosenberg's last year and my first year. You had the responsibility of transitioning him out and me in, and you did both with wisdom, with great care, and with high energy. In fact, when I was being considered for this position, you and Leslie came to the Berkshires to check me out, only revealing who you were when the service had ended. During my first summer here, we began our annual beach services, and under your leadership, our congregation have voted to adopt the Reform Movement's new Siddur, Mishkan Tefillah. And how did you follow up your term as president? You accepted Linda's offer to teach the second grade in the religious school. You were always the president who loved coming to services the most. It was a real gift when you also shared your Jewish journey with the congregation this past Yom Kippur afternoon. Thank you, Jerry, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Alan, you were my path to Temple Habonim from the very beginning. You came to observe a service in Great Barrington. You were part of the search committee that recommended me. And during your first term, you led a hugely successful capital campaign chaired by Bunny Fain and Tracy and Bill Doherty, which, by the way, you announced on Rosh Hashanah on the very day that the financial recession began in the fall of 2008. That did not stop you. We had a mortgage burning and a significant amount of programming money was raised as well. You encouraged me and Linda to think big, to plan big, to not worry about the costs. And how did you follow up your presidency? You became the co-chair of the search committee, who ultimately recommended Rabbi Howard to be my successor. Thank you, Alan, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Ruth, most presidents have 2 years as vice president to watch, to ask questions, and to learn how to be a president before assuming the position. Not you. When April Peters decided to go to rabbinical school rather than assume her place as the next president of Temple Habonim, you deliberated carefully, and ultimately you said, Hineni, here I am. And then you had been on board for about 1 month when Margie, after running the office for 39 years, left one day, became ill, and never returned. With the help of Leslie Lorber and Leslie Katz, you managed that transition with grace and equanimity. You brought in your friend, Denise DeMare, to temporarily run our office. She stayed for 3 years. You were bound and determined to do something about our outdated, unattractive bathrooms, and you did. And today, you are actively working on the transition committee. You give it all with love and with heart. Thank you, Ruth, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Leslie, you were a real hands-on president. It seems like you were doing something here in the building every single day. You redesigned our website. You met with every committee. You were always available for working on projects with me. You too, Leslie, were one of our Yom Kippur afternoon Jewish Journey speakers. You captivated and inspired everyone with the story of your journey to Judaism. And your involvement with Purim Spiels. Year after year, you made our costumes, and each year they became more elaborate. Many of them remain in the basement, waiting for another opportunity to be worn. Leslie, as a president, you were indefatigable, and you did all this work for the temple while you were on your own profound path of personal spiritual exploration. Thank you, Leslie, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Lisa, with a very full-time job and 3 sons at home, you took on the presidency with vigor and determination. I remember meeting you the summer when I first came. You told me what you wanted to see happen and change in the religious school, what you were not happy with, and then you worked diligently to make those changes happen. That's how I've always seen you, Lisa. You were not content with making suggestions for what someone else should do. You jumped in and did the work to make it happen yourself. You initiated a good number of administrative changes in our Constitution and our bylaws, including shrinking the number of trustees serving on the board to make our work more efficient. You also updated the board meeting format. You too inspired us, all of us, with the telling of your Jewish journey one Yom Kippur afternoon. Thank you, Lisa, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Nicole, when we first met, you and I had a long conversation about your views about Judaism and Jewish community. This was maybe 13 years ago when Max and Talia were teeny. I told you that one day you would be president of our congregation. You looked at me as if I were crazy, and yet that day arrived 4 years ago. Among the many gifts you have brought to Temple Habonim were a heightened sense of spirituality and intentionality about all that we do and the ways that we do it. You did all of this while being actively involved in Jason's political campaigns, running political campaigns of your own, especially focused on reproductive choice, raising 2 wonderful kids, and initiating our congregational family trip to Israel. And how did you relax after your presidency ended? I keep looking at Elaine. You co-chaired the search committee with Alan Buff. And moving forward, you will be leading the Lifelong Learning Committee. What incredible energy and heart. Thank you, Nicole, for all that you have given and continue to give to Temple Habonim. Elaine, oh my Elaine. I never dreamed that we would be able to stand in the sanctuary together on this night. Though we're not right here together at the Ark, we are here. I am deeply moved by the words you spoke earlier and by your presence here. You and Mike have not had a moment to catch your breath for 2 years. You had barely begun your term when Pittsburgh happened, and synagogues all across the country became aware of what needed to happen to make our houses of worship more secure. That was your first major task, and it wasn't easy. Then Adam and I told you that I would be retiring, at the end of your term. Again, another huge task for you over your tenure as president. Then our temple administrator, Jody, said that she was leaving after 6.5 years of running the office, right in the middle of the time when candidates were coming here, interviewing to be your new rabbi. Another huge task. And somewhere in there, I'm not sure exactly when, our longtime, dearly beloved custodian, Chris, left for a full-time job. Then you were interviewing more people. And then, Elaine, you had to deal with COVID-19 and the ramifications of keeping our staff and our congregants and our building safe and running. Elaine, I jokingly looked at you when I talked about what presidents did after their terms were over. You deserve a rest. You deserve time to dig in the garden, to be at home with Mike and your dogs, and to have a rest. I know that you're on board with that too, Mike. Elaine, you led us through all of this with a calm and a tranquil demeanor. You have heard me say many times, and other people have heard me say many times, you were the perfect person to be my last president here at Temple Habonim. For all you have given to Temple Habonim, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Ivan, you too, because you're a few steps down from where I am, we're pretty eye to eye. It's the first time. Ivan, I won't have the pleasure of working with you as president of our synagogue, but I have certainly worked with you a lot over the years. You were involved in our musical group that helped lead Shabbat worship many years ago. You have participated in almost every, if not every, Purim spiel that we have had. As the chair of the transition committee, welcoming Adam and me into the synagogue, you presented the temple with this yod. I can't tell you how many times I've used it over the last 13 years, and thinking of you often as I do. Adam and I, too, still talk about the tour that you gave us of Jewish Rhode Island. But in addition to the video rental store, which of course no longer exists, we often reflect on your explanation as to why the Red Bridge, which is not red, is called the Red Bridge, as you drove us over it, trying to explain to us the difference between the East Side and East Providence. Ivan, along with Rabbi Howard, you and David and Adina make a great team to lead us forward in strength. And I know that you will. And I know that you'll call on me for any questions you have to ask and any help I might offer along the way. Thank you, Ivan, for all that you have given and all that you will continue to give to our congregation. And at this moment, I get to offer each of you a blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you and keep you safe. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God be kind and compassionate and gracious to you always. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift up God's face to you, granting you the greatest gift of all, the gift of wholeness and completeness and shalom, peace to each of our presidents that I have had the honor of working with. May God bless you. We will hug each other in the future. We continue with our service with the Aleinu. The Aleinu is our prayer, asking God to make the world a better place and committing ourselves to be in partnership with God in engaging in the act of Tikkun Olam to do that. Will you please rise as we join together in the Aleinu?
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Would everyone please be seated and join together in the middle of page 12 with a blessing for our community. We thank you, O God, for our community and for what we mean and bring to one another. We are grateful for the bonds of loyalty and affection which sustain us and for the capacity to love and to care. Help us be modest in our demands of one another, but generous in our giving to one another. May we never measure how much love or encouragement we offer. May we never count the times we forgive. Rather, may we always be grateful that we have one another and that we are able to express our love in acts of kindness. Keep us gentle in our speech. When we suffer words of criticism, may they be chosen with care and spoken softly. May we waste no opportunity to speak words of sympathy, of appreciation, of praise. Bless our community with health, happiness, and contentment. Above all, grant us the wisdom to build a joyous and peaceful community in which your spirit will always abide.
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Each lifetime is the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. For some, there are more pieces. For others, the puzzle is more difficult to assemble. Some seem to be born with nearly a completed puzzle. And so it goes. Souls going this way and that, trying to assemble the myriad parts. But know this, no one has within themselves all the pieces to their puzzle. Like before the days when they used to seal jigsaw puzzles in cellophane, ensuring that all the pieces were there. Everyone carries with them at least one and probably many pieces to someone else's puzzle. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they do not. And when you present your peace, which is worthless to you, to another, whether you know it or not, whether they know it or not, you are a messenger from the Most High. As a community, we at Temple Habonim mourn the recent loss of life to victims of COVID-19, to victims of acts of terrorism all around the world, to victims of acts of senseless gun violence all around the world, to victims of acts of natural disaster all around the world. We remember people who have been killed in acts of racism. We remember people who have been murdered in acts of discrimination throughout the history of our country. We remember Eyad Halak, a 32-year-old Israeli Palestinian with autism who was murdered last week by the Israeli police, as we are aware that ours is not the only country in the world trying to deal with and combat racism. As a community, we mourn one recent death and we recall a number of yahrzeits. If I say the name of someone you are remembering, I invite you to stand as you hear their name and remain standing until we join for words of Kaddish. As a community, we mourn the recent death of Hella Volk, mother of Steve Volk, mother-in-law of Charlene Volk, and grandmother of Sam Volk. As a community, we recall the yahrzeits of Edgar Bloomstein, father of Sheila Bloomstein, Bernice Bloomstein, mother of Sheila Bloomstein, Francesca Morris Perez, great niece of Sheila Bloomstein, Violeta Arboleda, mother of Denise Glickman, Samuel Eisenberg, father of Barbara Glexman, Cecilia Fishbein, mother of Bonnie Koppelman, James David Lane, brother of Christopher Lane, Anna Lipsy, aunt of Judy Mintzer, Sam Grohlman, uncle of Marilyn Strauss, great uncle of Leslie Katz, Linda Strauss, granddaughter of Marilyn Strauss, niece of Leslie and Jerry Katz, and Jeff Torf, brother of Elaine Torf. If there is anyone here who is mourning a recent death, remembering someone in the first year of mourning, or remembering a yahrzeit I did not mention, if you're here, if you're at home, say those names out loud, and perhaps a sweet memory you have of the person as well. And in a moment, we will all join together in words of Kaddish. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. We say their names, we tell their stories, we keep their spirits alive with us every day. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divra Cherutei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayei Chon Uvyomei Chon Uvchayei Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv V'imru Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam U'olmei Olmaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Oseh Shalom Bimromav Huya Aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru
Amen.
May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, for all people who inhabit the earth, as together we say, Amen. Please be seated. No, I was confused. A couple of announcements. First, from me, I just want to say thank you to all of the people who participated in tonight's worship service. I announced you all earlier, but I just want to say thank you again for the words you spoke, for participating in this very special service. Our Vice President Ivan has some announcements.
One of the things I just want to mention, it's kind of been a little bit of an unexpected blessing over the last year or year and a half, really, since Rabbi Klein announced that he was going to retire, is we've gotten to hear and see a little bit more about the personal side, the history that for some years it didn't seem appropriate to share. And I mean this sincerely. If you have not seen last year's June 2019's Pride Shabbat service, where Adam and Andy did a presentation, it was a slideshow and a story, and it was about 45 minutes long. I very much encourage you to see it, because you will see if there could be more menschiness, you really should see that. Okay, I am here because of COVID-19. The people who should be here at this very moment are the heads of our transition committee, the co-chairs, Lois Kemp and Joanna Fruchansky. And what's going to seem like something that I have done is not. I'm representing the transition committee, who have worked very hard over the past really 9 months or more, and will continue to work hard. And I'm going to thank them all. I have it written down so I don't forget. Tracy Doherty, Ruth Fain, Ethan Stein, Stacy Resnick, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Reich, Elaine Torf, myself. We have a few gifts that we want to present to Andy. At one point, by the way, this box, I didn't leave it there the whole service because I didn't want everyone at home to be thinking, what's in that box? What's in that box? The first thing we thought of about a year ago, was all the traveling you would be doing. So that is a special travel nap pack, something that you'll get to open later, but I need to tell everyone what it is. We also thought of some things that you might enjoy throughout the year, and not just once. So we have a number of, I can't remember what they all are, I have to look. This is a gift certificate to some number of shows at the GAM Theater. It is good forever, so we don't know when theater will be starting, but we thought that you'll go throughout the year, and every time you go, you'll think about us. And likewise, there's a similar gift certificate for PPAC, and again, never expires. We also thought that because it's going to be a while maybe till you can go to some shows, we got you a subscription to Broadway HD streaming service, which you'll get details on, and you'll be able to watch a million Broadway shows from your own home. Which reminds me, by the way, what I loved about your story of that email from 1996 was I'm amazed that you were using email in 1996. I just, there you go. This is a membership to the ICA in Boston, the Institute of Contemporary Arts. And this one is really fantastic. This is this entitles you to a personal guided tour of the MFA with a curator, Frederick Ilkman, at a date and time to be determined in 2021, and the details are on here. So when that will happen, we're not sure, but these are all things for you. And Elaine would like to present you a few things as well.
Okay. Well, before I present these to you, I have to say, Andy, I was sitting 10 feet in front of you, tears coming down. I'm very impressed that you can lead services when all of us were sniffling and teary, and I think Mickey and Minnie were crying also. So thank you for continuing. So we have a couple of gifts for you. I'm sorry, I'm going to take them out of the bags because they're easier. The first is a t-shirt, and I'm going to show this to the camera. It says, it's Texas and itty bitty Rhode Island right in the middle, and it says, don't mess with Rhode Island either. So that is one gift. All right. You have been seen once or twice, or maybe 1,000 times in an ancient Texas sweatshirt. I'm holding this up to the cameras because that's the sweatshirt. Well, again, this is all the transition committee has found you a younger, prettier sister to your Texas t-shirt, sweatshirt. A Rhode Island, orange Rhode Island sweatshirt. All right. Orange. For those of you who don't know, this is the color. Orange is the new orange. It's his favorite color, we think. The last, this isn't good for the video, but the last is probably the most meaningful. This is, so every day when you would retrieve the mail and pretend you didn't see all the envelopes of varying sizes, some in hard, going to the transition committee, those were heartfelt letters, drawings, pictures that all of your flock submitted. It's a book of memories and blessings for you and Adam to look at later. It's lovely. There's a beautiful front plate. I don't know if you can, he'll zoom in. It says there's a prayer at the bottom, a kavana for crossroads. When I encounter a crossroads, I pray to choose a correct path. When I choose a path, I pray it will lead me to a correct place. When I reach a path's end, I pray the path will have no end. It's really beautiful, and it's a lovely book. So hopefully you and Adam will enjoy it forever. It's heavy. Huh? Yes, I'm going to put these away and put them aside for you.
It's magic. I have a few more things to say. Before I do, I just want to say that it's just really unbelievable to see all the faces here. I just wish there was some way that you could see all the faces. How could that happen? Thank you, Michael. I just have a few actual announcements. One is, once again, we all need to thank Michael Blaine for the streaming. It really allows many people to watch the services, including hopefully my father. Hi, Dad. No, we can't hear you. No, it's YouTube. I know it says Zoom, but it's YouTube. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to continue that joke as well. So the real announcement is that we have a little farewell Zoom thing tomorrow, and you all should already know about that. And if you have signed up, you will have gotten an email, and if you haven't, email the office tomorrow morning, and we'll take care of that. I'd like to say a few words about Elaine, but before I do, I just want to add a very, very sincere thank you to the partners of our leaders and our lay leaders. They could recount for you the endless meetings and emails and times they've heard, I just have to run over to the temple for a minute. They have contributed in their own ways, often with great personal sacrifice, to the well-being of this community. And I want to thank 4 of you by name. There are many others, but 4 of you, Adam Mastoon, Mike Pomerantz, Karen Blaine, and Diane Manazian. When I say we couldn't have done it without you, that's the truth. Now, Elaine, I'll make it quick. The congregation thanks you. Though they may not be aware of the true extent of your commitment and the time you have given to our community, they are surely aware of the rewards. A vibrant, strong, resilient community that has had more than a few challenges during your tenure. A rabbi retirement, a very successful rabbi search, worldwide pandemic, and I thank you. You have been nothing but gracious, considerate, and caring. We've talked each other off the ledge a few times, and you've allowed me to be a partner. If I am prepared to take over in a few weeks, it is because of you, because of the opportunity I've had to work with you and learn from you. And this leaf, which will make its way to the Tree of Life shortly, says, in honor of Elaine Torf, Temple Habonim President, 2018 to 2020, Your steady and tireless leadership was invaluable during a period of transition and challenge. Thank you.
Okay, let's do some Kiddush. We are on page 15. Raise your glass of juice or wine, your symbol of joy, and please join me in short Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Yeah. Oh. Both?
Both. Okay. I got juice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Andy, I am convinced that all of the lay leaders here knew what kind of public speaker I am, and they wanted to leave me a short little time. So the world, I just looked at the time. I can't believe how long the service has gone on and how present I felt in every moment of it. I do have a couple of thoughts that I want to share with you. Unfortunately, you took all of the words I was going to say. You took the words I was going to say about you as a mentor, and you talked about Rabbi Zucker. Who Rabbi Zucker was to you is who you are to me. You've pushed me, you've stretched me, you've broken me down and built me back up. The students hear every h and ch correctly because of how you taught me. I didn't realize how unseasoned I was when I came here. And you've helped me get to the point that I'm at now, which is much better than I've been and not quite where I want to be. You are the perfect example of sim sum, stepping back and allowing space for other people to vent, space for other people to grow, space for ideas to flourish, just the space to be there. When I begged you to tell me what to do, if I should go to cantorial school, if I should go get a master's in education, I asked you over and over, what should I do? You talked to me for hours about it. You never gave me an answer. You helped me get there. And I think that's what I really appreciate about you the most, is you're not giving us the answers, you're empowering us to get the answers ourselves. And I think that's the really just the greatest gift a teacher could ever give or receive. So I'm really grateful. And like I mentioned earlier, this song came from a very heartfelt place of wanting to say thank you for all of the years. I know this is not going to be enough and not, but I know that you're just a phone call away. And I'll look forward to those phone calls. You've been our rabbi, you've been our friend, you've been our teacher, you've been the one to hold our hand and show us kindness and show us love and show us beauty in the ordinary stuff. Thank you for being you and the gifts you bring to this world. From your soul we hear the songs you sing. No, we won't soon forget. You're in my head and my heart. Heaven knows, in this whole wide world there's no one else quite like you. Thank you. And we're grateful for Texas, grateful for HUC, grateful for Adam Mastoon, and your positivity. We're brighter because of your wisdom. We're stronger because you gave us hope. We share a bond you fostered, helping us to grow. So thank you for being you and the gifts you bring to this world. From your soul we hear the songs you sing. No, we won't soon forget. You're in my head, in my heart. Heaven knows, in this whole wide world there's no one else quite like you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
David, thank you. I know your love of expressing yourself through music, and that means a lot to me. Thank you. As we were putting the service booklet together for tonight, I told David I wouldn't take a look, and I didn't. And so, thank you. Before our closing benediction, I just want to say tonight's been really overwhelming. Tonight's been beautiful. I have not looked at my watch. I don't care. I'm just delighted to be here. And when I said 13 years, it's a little like a bar mitzvah, I saw you walking up with packages. I thought, oh, it's a little like a bar mitzvah. I'm deeply touched by everybody, by everything, by the flowers, by the signs on the front yard, by the strawberries delivered to my door this morning, by the emails and texts. And I can't wait to look at the book that has been prepared for us. So honestly, from the very, very bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. As we prepare to leave this sacred space, and you at home, you are in a sacred space. Your homes are sacred. You worship there. Baruch atah b'voecha, we were blessed as we came into this sacred space. Baruch atah b'tzetecha, may we be blessed as we go forward to life and to health and to a joyous celebration of Shabbat. With a heart full of love, Shabbat Shalom.